Hi, thank you for joining me for another video. As I said at the end of my last video, you may have realized that the media URL actually expires. So where you're expecting Instagram content, suddenly you're left with a bunch of blank space. So today I'm going to show you how to get around that. And essentially we're going to be using Cloudinary, which is an amazing data storage program. We're going to pull our Instagram data, save the data that we want to Cloudinary, and then display the saved image rather than the media URL. Let's get stuck in. First, we're going to create a Cloudinary account at cloudinary.com. You can sign up using your Google account or just using your email or whatever. Once your account is set up, we're going to go into Settings and then Upload, and then we're going to add an upload preset. For this video, we're going to make the signing mode unsigned, and then we'll give the preset a name, maybe just user uploads. All those other settings look fine. So then we'll go up the top and click Save. And we can see our upload preset is showing up in our dashboard here. If we click into API keys, we'll want to take note of our cloud name here. And in this section, we can also find our API key and secret, which you'll need if you create a signed upload preset. Since ours is unsigned, we won't need it today. One more thing to check, we'll go into our settings on Bubble, and under API, we'll just want to confirm that we have checked Enable Workflow API and Backend Workflows. Now we're going to update our Instamedia data type, and we're going to add two new fields. The first new field we'll call Cloudinary URL, and we're going to make that type text. And the second field we'll add will be Cloudinary Public ID, and that's also going to be type text. We're going to go into our API connector now, and we're going to create a new call. We'll name it Cloudinary Upload. And I'm going to paste in the URL, which will be in the description of this video. And what you'll notice is that the cloud name is in the URL. So you'll have to make sure that you put your cloud name in there. And this is a post call because we're sending the images to Cloudinary. We're going to change the body type to form data, and we'll add 3 parameters. The first parameter, the key is file, and you'll want to uncheck private. And then you'll want to check the box that says send file. Just going to upload a random test file to set up the call. So I've just uploaded our logo as an example. The second parameter is upload preset, and the value here should match our upload preset name, which was user uploads. And we're also going to make sure that private is left unchecked. The last parameter will be key folder, and here you can just put any name because Cloudinary will create the folder if it doesn't exist. So we'll just call it user uploads as well, and we will check to allow blank. And we'll also uncheck private. Now, when I first filmed this, I missed the key step, which is making sure that we're setting it as use as action, not users data. And that's why mine is showing now that I can reinitialize, which I'll go ahead and do, but you should be able to just initialize. So go ahead and do that now. Once we've initialized, if we click back into our Cloudinary, under Assets and Folders, we can see that a new folder has been created which matches our name user uploads, and we can see that the file we uploaded is in there, which is great. It means our call is working. Back on our page editor, we now want to change the data source of our repeating group. We're going to get data from an external API, and then select whatever your API call is called. For example, Facebook OAuth login, and then it's the Facebook OAuth logins user media call and user media's data. Now you'll notice then that the data type doesn't match. So we're just going to search user media data and find the one that matches. I've had a few calls set up across my platform. That's why I've got the same thing like 3 times. When we change that source, then the data type on the child elements start throwing up issues. So we just got to go and change them to data type user media data as well. Now click onto the pop-up and we're going to add a custom state. The custom state data type is going to be user media data, the same thing we've just been adding. And we'll name it selected posts and we'll select that it's a list. So what we're going to do is when a user clicks on a certain image, it's going to be added to the custom state. And when we click finish, it'll then run the workflow. Remember, our existing workflow was to display Instamedia, and if it was clicked, it would change the data field from selected yes to selected no, or vice versa. So click into the workflow and remove the conditional statement. Instead, we'll add when the pop-up selected post contains the current cell's user media data. Then we'll remove the existing step 1 and replace it with set state of an element. The element is our pop-up, and the custom state will be pop-up selected posts minus item, the current cell's user media data. Because if the custom state currently contains the item, we're trying to remove it. Now let's duplicate that workflow. And we'll just delete that old workflow if you still have one. And we'll change the color so they look a little bit different. And on this workflow, we'll change the conditional statement so that it's if the custom state doesn't contain the current cell's item. And on step 1, instead of minusing item, it should be plus item. Then the conditional statement on this image is when the pop-ups selected posts contains parent group's user media data, and then the condition is that thick border. Okay, we'll grab ourselves a button and we'll label it finished, and this will be to run our full workflow. And we'll group the button and the text heading together. All right, that's looking good. Now we're going to go into backend workflows and we're going to create a new API workflow. We'll call it select Insta posts. And for me, I'm going to put a 2 on the end. And we're going to check to ignore privacy rules. And we're going to add a few parameters. So first one is media URL, which is type text. Then media ID, which is also type text. We've got permalink, type text. We've got caption, and you guessed it, this is type text. We've got timestamp, and this is also type text. And now owner, which is type user. And then we've got like count, which is type number. We'll then add our step 1, which will be to create a new thing. And the thing we're going to create is an Instamedia. We'll click to add all the fields, and then we'll marry them up with the parameters. So caption equals caption, like count equals like count, media ID to media ID, URL to media URL, and then owner to owner, permalink to permalink. We'll delete those extra yes, no fields, and timestamp to timestamp. And we'll also delete those 2 Cloudinary fields for the moment. Okay, above the step where we create a new Instamedia, we're going to add a step and start typing Cloudinary, and our post call should show up. The file should be media URL, that's the image. For our upload preset, remember it's our user uploads. And for the folder, we'll do user uploads as well. Back on our create Instamedia, we'll add the Cloudinary fields back. So we've got Cloudinary public ID, which will be the result of step 1's public ID. And we'll add Cloudinary URL, which is result of step 1's secure URL. Back on our design tab, we'll open our pop-up and click on our finish button because we're going to set up our workflow here. So step 1, we're going to delete a list of things with the type of thing being Instamedia. And the list is going to be do a search for Instamedia where the owner equals current user. We're going to be deleting the list so that we can override it with the new selected images. Step 2 is to schedule an API workflow on a list. The type of things are our user media data, remember the matching one that we set up earlier? And the list to run on is going to be our pop-ups selected posts. So we're temporarily storing the selected post in the custom state, and when it's confirmed which post we want, only then do we run the full workflow. So our API workflow will be our select insta post, and 2 for me. We'll then marry up each of these parameters. So media URL is this user media data's media URL. Media ID, this user media data's media ID, bit of a tongue twister. Then we've got obviously the permalink, the caption, and the timestamp, which we'll add in the same way. Owner is the current user, and like count is this user media data's like count. And then make sure you checked ignore privacy rules while running the workflow. Third step, we will reset our pop-up. And then the last step, we'll hide an element, which is also our pop-up. Last thing to do is to make a couple of small changes to our repeating group that displays our Insta content. So on the data source, it's currently search for Instamedia. We're just going to get rid of the condition about selected equals yes. Then on our group image, we'll change the data from parent group's Instamedia's media URL to the Cloudinary URL instead. All right, let's take this bad boy for a test drive. So I'll select Insta Posts, and the get call has worked, which displays all my available Instamedia posts. I'll select these 3 that I want to display, And when I click finished, the pop-up hides and my posts have appeared on the page, which is great. And if we click into our Cloudinary and refresh the page, we'll also be able to see that our images have uploaded into our folder user uploads. So it's all working really well. Awesome! I hope you got that all set up and working. Cloudinary is pretty amazing and it's going to save you a lot of your bubble storage, especially on some of those bigger files like your images and your videos. And you can actually make sure you have data to display instead of relying on media URLs that expire. You can also do some really cool things with the display of Cloudinary images, and I'm going to show you that in the next video. Bye for now.